Well, hello, it's Lee. Well, the title will say exactly what the talk is going to be about. I am trying to make a video about conquering, well, give some advice or some opinions about conquering depression, dealing with it. I am someone that certainly dealt with that for a very long time, especially from the years of about 11 or 12 up until, I'd say mid-20s or so. Although there are always some reverberating patterns that can continue for perhaps your entire life. Like you are forming when you're young, you're forming your personality, you're witnessing, you're experiencing the circumstances in which you're in, you're responding, and you are a recipient of your life, basically, right? So you're basically dealing with what comes your way. You're dealing with the family that you're in, you're dealing with life in general, school, work, this, that, and the other. And certainly the world that we're in, I would even dare say even more than ever, is probably more confusing than it's ever been. And yeah, it looks like media and different things are really promoting anger, fear, competition, Not that it wasn't always within people potentially there, but it seems to have been gotten even worse, or promoted as such, maybe even a lot more. Nonetheless, I guess there always were bumps that we have been taking while we have been having this human experience. So, do I want to claim that I am someone that went into the very depths of depression? I'd say pretty much yeah. Do I want to say that I'm someone that completely conquered it? I want to say pretty much yeah. And I want to reach out to others who are feeling the same thing. A lot of times we feel the way we do because of, well, as we said, life, but we feel the way we do because we have an internal dialogue and we end up wondering or questioning, did we deserve it, or is this how it should be? And when we're young, we are so susceptible to the influences of so many things that it seems, like a normalcy to become that way. And I don't want to say stagnant, but every person could and maybe should be a thriving, content being, having enjoyment, like learning lessons. We are still incomplete, we're still rebalancing some things, but the fact is we can find a great moment of happiness and an achievement by looking within, even very, very quickly. And the problem is, especially with the modern world and this and that, and the influences of different things, that we think everything, we've been taught while young to think everything is based on external. How that person did that to me, I'm going to react this way, or how that is such and such a fact of life, I'm going to put it that way. But as a lot of people will certainly agree, it is about our attitude, and it is about our internal dialogue. It is about the ways in which we wanted to cope with something, or like we either make a deliberate effort to overcome something, or we stay as if stun-locked and think that we're victims, and then we end up victimizing ourselves. There is no one who victimizes you more than yourself, same as it is for me. Like, we can be abused and this and that, but when we tell ourselves that, we deserved it too much, like, I'm not saying karma isn't real in different sorts of things, but I'm saying when we put ourselves in that mental cage and stay locked down, stay negative, that is a very bad thing to do. I'm not saying it's completely our fault, no. It wasn't perhaps started in and of our own desire to be like that, but that became a natural default, that after we received something, we can continue doing it. Now, we can say that depression is also something that we can give it different names. You can have a so-called scientific term for it, but this is just someone's opinion to call it that anyway. We're free to call anything we like, right? But we can say it is in a state in which we feel, well, we're not content, we're not thriving, we're not achieving what we could. And the world as it is, like I was saying, is in a very odd place right now. It's in a getting over its adolescent phase, and some people are really hanging on to that childish sort of aspect. But it does feel like we're about to come out of the womb of something. So I could say adolescent, but I could also say it's also like an infancy state. I'm about to come out of something. So it is what it is, and we are within the world that we're in, but it is exactly how we want to deal with it ourselves. The power of choice, the power of deliberation, the power of rising yourself above. I like how they said it in the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the sacred Hindu texts. But it doesn't matter that it was Hindu or this and that, it's been echoed everywhere. But I just want to quote this, that they said, a person must lift themselves up with their own mind. Because even if we get attached to a religion or something, just to use this example, because this is a big factor, religion does play a huge part. And religion doesn't just mean you believe in that, an idea of a pantheon of gods, but a religion can also be you believe in science, and that's your religion. These are beliefs, and no matter who you are, your beliefs system is based upon things that seem convenient for you in the moment, or perhaps long-lasting they work. But the point is, we can become very attached to our state of negativity. That's the whole point of my video. I'm sorry if I'm a little bit roundabout, but I'm trying to make a big picture, a bigger package. We can become very entrapped with our own beliefs and our own systems, our own emotional stasis or station, our own mental outlook, and end up giving ourselves excuses and continue to be feeling downtrodden because we are waiting for external things to fix it. That person did that, I'll be happy when I see that happen. Like, we can be vengeful, or we can say, when this occurs, then I'll finally find contentment. So again, there is a postponing of our happiness. To really conquer depression, to really conquer negative vibes and feelings and thoughts, we have to do a very big internal search. Because it does come down to, when you close your eyes, you are you. When you're lying down at night, you're with your own thoughts. You and I are probably most ourselves when we're by ourselves, and we're there thinking and just dwelling on whatever is coming up in our minds. The emotions lead the thoughts, and the thoughts lead the emotions, and it plays this pattern out, right? Now, Prozac, Zoloft, amitriptyline, blah blah blah, alcohol, drugs, these, all their variants and varying addictions of, your drug could be buying yourself a pair of shoes every week or something like that. These things don't give the long-lasting effect of contentment. These are maskings of it. When we are depressed, we are in a state where we feel perhaps unworthy of something, we have not succeeded in something. We can break it down to say that there's a few types of depression. That you feel depressed because you have a low self-esteem, you feel you're too different from the world, you feel this and that. Like there's such a thing as a depression where you are saying, I'm no good, I suck, or something like that, right? And then there's another thing like being depressed, I don't feel too bad in and of myself, I don't dislike myself or something like that, but the world is in such a disarray, it's in such an ugly state, it could be so much better. How can I be happy when the world is in such a condition? But the two lend into each other. It's basically primarily based on the same thing. We are in a place where if all of us really felt a state of heaven or enlightenment within, then we would be making the world into a better place. And not that the world hasn't seen some nice changes and some growth, because over history it really has, and in some cases maybe it regressed. So I gotta quote it again, as within, so without. But the point is, when we are in this negative state, it is because we are perhaps not looking for that inner power enough. Inner power, inner contentment has to be choice, has to be, we can't wait for someone to give it to us all the time, because it doesn't work. If you're sitting there and saying, when will God come back and fix it, and da-da-da-da, well, maybe there's going to be some kind of gods or something like that coming and helping with this and that and the other, but what about you in the moment? We're going to say, are we going to say, I will be happy when I have $1 million? Am I going to be happy when this, that, and the other? Well, we really have to try and look at the fact that all that is around us is temporary. The house that I'm in right now, this body, this cool shirt, this and that and the other, it's all temporary. And same for you. The body you're in right now, the dwelling you're in right now, you're in your house, you're at school, you're on a laptop, wherever you are watching the video, anything you see outside, the trees, the grass, even the sky, everything outside, everything external is temporary and shall pass. We already know that we are in these bodies themselves, they are mortal. That's a depressing enough thought when we don't have internal realizations, we don't have a spiritual understanding. So the first thing to note is the temporary nature of everything external. The temporary nature of everything external. You don't want to say space in general, or isness, but the things that are manifested are temporary. Your own deeply rooted self is of soul, of spirit. It is eternal, immortal, indestructible. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't change into something better also. That's a different topic, and I'll get into it, and I have gotten into it in other videos. But saying all this roundabout way of things, when we really can sit with ourselves and be content, then we have achieved an enlightenment. It doesn't mean that you found the highest points of reality. There are so many layers and dimensions of being cognizant, like an onion, right, with many layers, as they said in the Shrek movie. An ogre is like an onion, there's many layers. That's my Scottish ogre voice. But it's true. I'm trying to put some humor in here too, pardon me. But it's true. There are very many layers of reality. And when we are just stuck on one thing and are not progressing, it's because our consciousness is focused on that and our emotions are attached to that, and we're not moving beyond. Or we're not going more deeply within. So, just to repeat myself again, the importance of realizing the fact that there's flux and change, but you and I, deeply within this part is the immovable part. When we can realize that, then we can say, now I have a good standpoint with which I can deal with this. If I am in a part of the eternal is, then what I am witnessing here is changing, always changing, always changing. And no one can deny that. Even the atheist, scientist, blah, 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 that doesn't believe in anything, or nihilistic, or whatever you want to call it, they also can agree that they are mortal and that all that is around them will change and will pass and will alter. Something is manifested, something is, the ebb and flow, the exhale and the inhale, the breath of life. So, when we are in the position that we realize all the things are subject to change, doesn't mean that they're always subject to disorder or chaos, but subject to change. We look inside and we say, now, who am I, what am I, right? A lot of it has to do with self-identity. A lot of the conquering of depression and negativity and sadness has to do with trying to remember who and what you are. Because when we do that, when we're sitting in the seat of the soul, everything is a lot more manageable, easier to deal with. We can actually laugh and chuckle, keep our humor, keep our deliberate psychosis, whatever you like to call it. Everybody's a little bit insane. Who is the standard? But it's fun that way. But the point is, keeping ourselves a little bit lighthearted, even despite all of it. I can tell you very plainly, I come from, as do many people, you look at your family history and different things, and not everybody's born super content and silver spoon and this kind of thing. Even my own parent and this and that going back, well, it's a little bit like that. We're dealing with the karma of our family and with our very own too. And they lend into each other, obviously, hand in hand. But the point is, where do we want to come in and take a real self-responsibility and say, I'm not going to deal with this anymore, I'm going to overcome it. Finally and truthfully inside myself. Because I'm not going to live my life dependent on what is outside of me always and only. I can't wait for someone else to fix my life. I need to be able to be the one recipient. Or you can even be, like people can base their happiness or their desires on something like, oh well, when I get that, then I will be happy. But it doesn't mean the attainment of that thing or that circumstance is going to necessitate your and my happiness. Oh well, now I have $1 million, but I'm still depressed. Well, exactly. Lots of rich people are sad because, well, they have succeeded in attaining things, material things. That doesn't necessitate, but that too shall pass. That doesn't necessitate a lasting effect. Because logically, no matter which way we look at it, it is coming down to a self-identity. I have little Buddhas all over my house. Like I'm multi-religious, multi-philosophic. I love all religions and things. Doesn't to be stuck on one thing. Why do it? Lots to learn from everywhere. Now this is a chubby Chinese version of Buddha. This is their Maitreya Buddha, but this represents self-contentment, happy with self. I am happy, internalized. I am happy. And what do they call the Shakyamuni, or the classic Siddhartha Gautama, was known to say this, that depression is based on a misplaced ego. It doesn't mean you like, it's not to say everybody has a huge ego and, oh well, I'm more important than everybody, so I gotta get this and that. Like, it just means all of us, every single person that's here to some layers of degrees, is a little off kilter, and we are trying to rebalance our ego so that we see properly. And the proper adjustment of this is actually factually happiness and contentment. Until we are, or unless we are happy, we're not enlightened. Until we are truly happy, because being truly happy is, well, I would say the purpose of existence. Like, why would you exist to be upset or sad or angry? So to overcome this and have this wonderful realization of inner contentment and happiness, and then thus our ego is fixed and adjusted. I can use New Age lingo, although it's also from the ancient words, but you can have the alignment of your chakras. You can have basically a rebalancing of your self, your very, very self. The problem is, and it can be discussed, is that you can, yes, you can be a certain way, feel a certain way, but the world, until it catches up or something like that, you can feel sad, or until others might, you know, like for me personally, I'll say this, I don't want to speak for other people, but I'll say for myself. Me, I will always remain, insofar as I am in this body and here and now in this planet, I will remain a little bit sad. I'm a natural empath and sympath and blah blah blah. And when I see others sad, it makes me sad, because I know that they could get out of it, because I went into the depths. I had suicidal thoughts. I had, well, when I was about, I could say, you know, little family things like parents' divorce when I was 11 and this and that, and like, you know, factors that give you a little bit of a cause and a reason for it. But when I overcame that and said, well, okay, be that as it may, I forgive my parents, no problem, and this and that. And my father had savage depressions, and still to the day, and this and that, and there's a whole history there. But I came to the point when I was about 20, 21, when I just said, be all that as it may, I'll forgive it. But for me, I just feel sad. The world is just in a bad spot. And when I was about that age, 20 or 21, I actually wanted to go to the forest. I was thinking of going to British Columbia in Canada. And I just said, well, I'll just live in the forest and starve myself to death, or I don't know what I want. I was trying to talk to God, to myself, to higher reality, and I was just saying, well, I'm so not content. And then I realized, well, yeah, I could do that. I could off myself. I could do all sorts of things. I could chase money and make a bunch of dollars. It's a choice. Yeah, some people are born into money, but I'm saying a lot of people can get there. We can do what we want. We can be anything we want. As the song, the lady was singing that in the Spangle song. Tell me who can't you be? We can be basically anything we want to be, to, you know, degrees, but the fact is, without the deep internal happiness and realization that comes from it, we have not achieved that very thing which we're looking for, which was our contentment. When we're basing our contentment on something, and we're not getting it, or even when we got it, like everybody knows, like I said, also a few minutes ago, if we're basing it on something external or material, it's not going to be a lasting happiness or a lasting joy. We can jump from distraction to distraction to distraction to distraction, but then we're just playing Wheel of Fortune, and we're not having a bigger picture, the more layers of the onion, or the deeper seat of the soul reality. Now, it does come down to self-responsibility. It does come down to saying, and it's not about being selfish, well, never mind if they all die and they're all sad, as long as all you're happy. No, it's the point is, better to find your own individual inner contentment and thus be of help, or be of something, than to just stay feeling like crap all the time. I know that it is not, it's like quitting smoking. I used to be a smoker too. yucky habit. But the point is, it's easier said than done to get out of it. But once you, I'm swearing it to anybody, once we can put some application, the desire to get above, it's like being underwater for so long and feeling the currents of the world of life in general, all the emotions and our thoughts, and then breaking out of the water and going, oh, it's good up here. It doesn't mean that we don't go back down sometimes, but the desire to fight and to get out. And then we can get out and pretty much stay out, and then we can choose to, okay, I'll hold my breath and maybe I'll go help somebody out. And then, it's like the metamorphosis. A fish that turned into a bird, and then, okay, I'll go back down. It's a funny metaphor if you like, but there you go. Yes, it can be exactly like that. It is very hard to, because a lot of people can be very content due to being naive or ignorant, but I'm talking about a real happiness and a real, truthful, bona fide, authentic overcoming of sadness and depression comes from inner choice to first really want to do so. To stop beating yourself up. The world could have done many things to you. You could have had very bad parents. You could have had teased at school very badly. You could have had things fall apart all around you. And yes, it affects you. No one can say, oh, shrug it off. That was easy. No, it's not an easy button. Click. That was easy. But maybe the things happen to us do happen to us for a reason. Maybe if we can overcome it, we really become very powerful and strong within ourselves. A person that lashes out and beats, like, all these secret cults and I never even mind talking about them, but in general, a bully, for example, taking out aggressions on others is only doing so because they're feeling wretched and unhappy inside. Their pride, their misplaced ego, and their emotional unbalance makes them do that. There are two different types of people though. Like, you could feel depressed and angry and sad and confused and you want to take it out on someone, or you have a little bit more maturity and you just say, oh, I don't want to bring others down, but I'll beat myself up. But both are wrong, obviously. So what fixes that is a choice to say, I want to get out, and then finding the real reasons. Because all of our unhappiness, every single bit of our unhappiness, is based on our consciousness focusing on it and our emotions being attached to it and thinking that it doesn't change and that's it. Well, I'll just wait till I die then and live my crappy life. No. This is when your mind got controlled by a really ugly ego. It wasn't even yours itself. It's a common thing. We share a common world. Happiness is happiness. Anyone can experience it. The sadness you and I feel is the sadness that anyone can experience. The anger is the anger that, so on and so forth. These are common things. We're not separate from each other. We share common themes of existence and reality. Knowing that, if we see someone else happy, we can say, well, I too can get that. If we see someone sad, we say, well, I can sympathize with that. But it makes us complete and it makes us whole. When we're giving ourselves excuses all the time and staying down and being negative, we've got to lift off the mantle. Stop beating yourself up. If you're someone that's doing that or have a pattern or a history of doing that, find your choice, your desire to get above that. Think of it as a fight and get above it. As best as you can. It is very possible. I dealt with horrible depression for a long time. I just wanted, oh my god, sometimes I didn't want to get out of bed for weeks. I've been on social assistance, I couldn't work, I was too sad to go out and get a job, make that money, and spend my money and buy stuff. Well, it's whether we need stuff or not, to whatever degree. The fact is, I didn't want to move. Just sit I was like a stay-at-home monk. I still am that a little bit to the day. These are the people that we become for ourselves. But the point is, I had such bad periods where I was so unhappy. And now I'm still a little bit like a stay-at-home monk. And now I'm a dad too, and I got an awesome wife. But the point is, now I can be happy because I chose it. It's available, it's always available. Happiness is always available. You gotta choose it. Even just making a small increment, a small change does for us so much good. So much good. If you're not happy, ask yourself deeply and truly, take a pen and paper and write it down. Do it like a diary. You can burn it after or keep it or whatever you like. But the point is, really, really, really take some time and ask yourself, if you're feeling depressed or a bit down, what is it that's doing it? Is it an eternal thing, or is it a temporary thing? Is it something that's wrong with me, or is it something that's wrong with the world? Am I going to be upset because that person's like that? Well, you and I can't necessarily change somebody else. We can't be obsessed on feeling that way. When we are feeling really self-accepted, and with that internal realization, I am here, I am now, I am eternal, with this great realization, the other stuff seems to matter so much less. And it is easy to achieve with a little bit of trying. I know I'm not trying to pass this off as to someone who's depressed right now. I'm not trying to say, oh, I know it, whereas I don't know it. I really do know it. I really do know it. I really do know it. There's history in the family and all sorts of things, but choosing to fight and overcome, making a deliberate choice, and doing it, you can do it. If you're not happy with something, make a change. It doesn't have to be a great change. I wish I was rich and I lived in that country, then I'd be happy. Well, maybe that would give you some contentment. But if that's not possible, what's the next best choice? What else can we do? That's just an example I was giving. What else can we do? If you're unhappy with your job, get a new one. If you don't like your lifestyle, you don't like the way you dress, you don't like your habits, do some new things too. Try it out. As much as can be had, as much as you can, as you're willing to. But do it in baby steps. I remember one time when I was living alone in my apartment in Chinatown in Ottawa, and I said, oh, I gotta stop that habit, that habit, that habit, that, and that. When I tried to do it all at once, I had an idea in my head that I felt like I was trying to tackle a whole football team, linebacker, whatever you call them. Pop! I couldn't knock down five guys, the 5 dudes with depression, or the 5 habits that were causing me something, right? But I said, no, if I can't do it all at once, maybe I'm just going to do one little thing at a time. I said, I'm going to do that, do that. I want to do that, do that. It doesn't mean it was like that, but try. And with a little bit of achievement, you can feel so much better. It really is up to us. It really is up to us. Internal soul-searching, internal self-acceptance. Realizing, say to yourself, my troubles are based on temporary things. Whether I'm convincing myself that I'm a victim, I'm convincing myself I'm not worthy, whatever I'm doing to myself, I'm going to stop it. And I'm going to force myself to smile. And then, by forcing it, I really am going to smile, just like I did right now. You can do it too. Look in the mirror. Be a little crazy. Sometimes you have to be a little crazy, deliberately. And then force yourself to laugh, and then you will actually have a real laugh. We must remember too, it's so sacred, it's so important to remember that whatever we're going through, others have gone through it, are going through it, and will go through it. But, because we share a common world, if others can overcome and do it, so can we. It doesn't mean you're going to turn into Buddha or Jesus or something like that overnight. Great enlightenment, great this and that, but increments. Give yourself small increments. If it helps to write it down on the fridge and say, by this date I want to have that achieved, or by this time I want to be able to feel that, try it. And even if you fail, try again, or try a different avenue, or try something else. Try something else. As the Druids were very fond of saying, to borrow from them, that every word, every thought, these are spells. You can give it that word. It doesn't matter if I don't believe in magic. It's not the point. The point is these are like spells, because we say something to another person or to ourselves, and those words, that intention, does have an effect. So it is like magic, if you want to call it that. It is an effect, an action and a reaction, a counter effect that happens. Now, when we are telling ourselves good things, and then we start to feel good, then we start giving power to other people, and it can lift them up too. Those of you who are born natural empath, natural sympath, you feel the pain of others. You can feel great. You walk outside, there's a whole bunch of negative energy, there's something happening, you go in the mall or something, or the street, I don't know, and you can feel for them, you feel it. Oh, you can end up adopting, take on the mantle of that vibe and go, oh, now I feel awful. But that's nice to have that adaptability, that compassion. But when it becomes, and it brings us down too, that is not having a desire to really fight through it maybe, or however I could word that, but finding the real contentment that is lasting and being able to, even despite that, still try to keep your composure as best you can. And being shiny, you know, we follow the courage, we follow the example, we can follow the joy of somebody else. When it's really and truly authentic, it speaks of itself volumes, and we can get on with that. Well, I don't want to make the video too long. I end up talking in a 20-30 minute video just like that. But my final leaving words, my parting words for this video is, you can overcome depression and sadness. You can conquer it. You can truly, authentically overcome it. The desire to do so is there. If we're all looking for happiness, and we're all feeling, happiness is happiness, goodness is feeling goodness. Everything else that's not authentic is just a little glint, shimmer, a small reflection of that greater joy. But when we're basing that greater joy on joy itself, what is the old saying from, how does it go? Fall in love with love itself, fall in love with happiness itself. When we do that, we totally change our lives upside down, feeling great, content, and it is stable, it's stabilized. And to stabilize it is a supreme victory of self-realization. When we do it, we feel great. Whoever watches a video, I wish you well. There are so many videos. I mean, my videos are just, you know, a small little path that someone found on YouTube, and I have a few very, very precious friends that like to watch my videos. Thank you very much, by the way. And we are able to either spread the good or spread the negativity, but it's a choice. Be careful what we get attached to, but let's do our best to realize that happiness is available. And as a very wise Buddhist saint was fond of saying, happiness is possible in the here and in the now. Yes, it is. Very much. This world is very mind-boggling and overwhelming and bewildering when we're young, especially. Oh my goodness. I had a hard enough time growing up as a teenager, and this and that. I can imagine things could be even worse by now. The world is such a funny place. But it is going where it needs to go, and we are going to overcome this silliness and this and that, and it will result, maybe not in a particular lifetime, but it will result in inner achievements. We come to a realization that people are at where they are at. It keeps going. Never believe a fake religion that says one life and go to hell if you don't know. It's a garbage, it's a mind control, devil worship garbage. We have many chances, we are eternal already. Progress. The whole reality, the whole being, our beingness, our being, is a progress and a process. Nobody is forever stuck in darkness, not a single one, not even the worst devil. Nobody is stuck for an eternity. By a choice, by a desire, we become happy, become feeling complete, feeling balanced, feeling, now I'm stable. This is good. The addictions that keep us down, cut them off. Even if it's like weighing, like, picture yourself, here's a funny little metaphor I like to use, or analogy, but picture yourself like a balloon and you're trying to float and go up, and there are so many weights attached to your balloon, and they're weighing you down, they're keeping you down. You're trying to get up and you can't. But all of a sudden you realize, I have a pair of scissors. I can pop myself. Now, what am I going to do? Can I cut all the weights at once? Maybe, maybe not. Can I cut them one at a time? All of a sudden, now you have a really nice view. Now you're feeling light, happy. We have the tools to do this. It's called deliberate will, an emotional desire to want it. Anybody can overcome it, even the person that was in the worst. Try. And it's a hard world right now. Lots of teen suicides, or suicides in general, lots of people feeling miserable. Oh, what an ugly world. Well, if we keep concentrating on the ugly, it will keep being like that. But if we change our attitude a little bit even, Start to get above that. More and more and more. And the end result of everybody's being, everybody's soul is going to be awesome. Thank goodness for many lifetimes. Thank goodness for many realities and layers of heavens. It is all true. It is all there. We will get it. You get what you want. People get what we have free will. We get what we want. We can all be very happy. Just have to want it. It's very possible. Namaste. Blessed be. I wish you the best. Check out my book. I did a link for that. And check out my other videos if you like. I'm just one little voice out of many in the desert. A lot of good people trying to help. And yeah, don't feel bad. We're allowed to have a little silliness. We're allowed to have our little addictions. Not all bad. It's not all bad. Get rid of an overabundance of guilt. Get rid of an overabundance of fear. We got to become more realistic. Become more realistic. Then we're going to become happy. Cheers for now. No matter who you are, I don't care who watches the video. You like me or you don't like me. It doesn't matter. I love you. Take care for now.